0.001875%, or roughly 1 in 120,000 players, make it to the professional level. So let's be real for a second. Playing football professionally is no joke. So I'm not going to waste your time. Here are 8 signs that if you have them, you might be a professional footballer someday. And before we start, comment "I'll go pro" if you're serious about playing football. Fitness on another level. Have you ever seen a fat guy that is a professional footballer? No, you won't. The only name that might come to mind is Lukaku, but even there, his body structure is naturally huge, so he just looks a bit bulky. But apart from that, it's almost impossible to find a top-level player who isn't physically elite, and that tells you everything you need to know. If you want to go pro in football, you have to be fit on a whole nother level. And no, that doesn't mean you have to be a gym freak or spend hours lifting weights like a bodybuilder. Football fitness is different. It's about endurance, explosiveness, recovery, and consistency all at the same time. Let's put it this way. You're expected to run for 90 minutes, press opponents, beat players in 1v1 situations, make runs, track back, and still have the energy to score or assist, all while maintaining the tempo of the game. And that tempo is not slow, it's intense, non-stop, and mentally draining as well. You might have already seen world-class players retire early, not because they lost their skills, but because they couldn't maintain their fitness. The prime example of this would be Eden Hazard. At Chelsea, he was unstoppable, but after his move to Real Madrid, injuries and lack of peak fitness completely changed his career. So if you're someone who can play full matches consistently, recover quickly, and keep going day after day without breaking down, that's a very strong sign. It shows that your body is capable of handling what professional football demands. And if you keep improving steadily from there, you might genuinely be on your way. Obsession beats talent every time. Ask yourself one simple question. Do you have a natural passion for the game? If your answer is yes, then this is a huge sign. But if your answer is no, then you might want to rethink things a little. Because no football player survives at the highest level without loving the game deeply. If you treat football like a job and still think you're going to go pro, it doesn't really work like that. At the top level, everyone is talented, everyone is skilled. So what separates the best from the rest, it's obsession. This doesn't just apply to football, it applies to anything in life. If you want to master something, you have to love it to a point where it doesn't feel like work anymore. You should want to play even when you're tired. You should want to watch matches, analyze players, think about the game, even when no one is forcing you to. Talent will take you to one level, no doubt, but obsession takes you one step further. Because when you're obsessed, you don't quit after failure. You don't get discouraged easily. Instead, you come back stronger every single time. Look at players who made it big. They weren't just good, they were obsessed. They stayed longer on the pitch, they trained harder, and most importantly, they enjoyed every bit of it. When you truly love football, failures don't feel like the end. They feel like part of the process, and that mindset is what builds professionals. So if you genuinely feel that hunger, the urge to improve, to play, to get better every single day, then you're already ahead of a lot of players. Because in the end, obsession doesn't just help you improve, it keeps you going when others stop. 3. You can coach if given. Now this point covers the tactical side of football, because playing football is one thing, but understanding and analyzing the game is a completely different level. Some players don't just play, they read the game. They understand what's happening, what's about to happen, and what should happen next. And that's what separates an average player from someone who can actually go pro. So let me put it like this. If someone randomly gives you a team and asks you to coach them, do you think you could do it? If your answer is yes, that says a lot about your football intelligence. Because if you can think like a coach, it means you understand formations, movement, positioning, and decision-making. You know what kind of offense works against what kind of defense. You can recognize patterns during a match, and most importantly, you understand why certain things are happening on the pitch. Football is not just about passing the ball and scoring goals. It's about timing your runs, creating space, pressing at the right moment, and making decisions based on the situation. And players who understand this naturally stand out. It also shows leadership, because when you understand the game deeply, you automatically start guiding others, even without realizing it. You start communicating more, organizing the play, and helping your team function better. So if you already have that ability, that's a big sign. And if you don't, then start developing it. Watch games more carefully. Don't just follow the ball. Watch the players off the ball. Try to predict what's going to happen next, because once you start thinking like a coach while playing like a player, your game automatically reaches another level.
Good dribbling skills. This one is a complete no-brainer. Let me share a fact with you. Every single player in professional football knows how to dribble the ball. Yes, every single one. If you think only wingers or forwards need dribbling, you are wrong. Of course, the level of dribbling differs. Not everyone is Messi or Neymar, but that doesn't change the fact that dribbling is a fundamental skill across all positions. Even defenders need it to get out of pressure situations. Even goalkeepers are expected to be comfortable with the ball at their feet nowadays. So think about it. How can you expect to go pro if you can't even get past one player? I'm not saying you need to beat 5 or 6 players every time you touch the ball. That's unrealistic, but you must have the ability to get past at least 1 or 2 players when you're under pressure. That small ability can completely change the outcome of a situation. Dribbling is not just about skills, it's about control, confidence, and decision-making. It allows you to escape tight spaces, create chances, and keep possession when it matters the most. And if you're weak at dribbling, then that's something you need to fix. There's no shortcut here. If you're wondering where to start, you already know. I've got enough videos on my channel about dribbling. Just go through them, start practicing consistently, and build from there. Because at the end of the day, if you can't handle the ball properly under pressure, surviving in professional football becomes very difficult. 5. You started early. Football works in a system nowadays. It's not like before where someone could just show up and suddenly make it big. The structure is much more organized, and because of that, starting early gives you a massive advantage. You won't often find professional players who started in their early 20s, and by late, that's exactly what I mean. Most players you see at the top level have been playing since childhood. Now, of course, just enrolling in an academy at the age of 5 doesn't automatically make you a professional footballer, but it definitely increases your chances by a lot. Because when you start early, you learn things at the right time. You develop your basics properly. You get exposed to structured training, proper coaching, and competitive matches. And most importantly, you get time to improve, fail, learn, and grow. You also start understanding yourself better. You figure out which position suits you the most, whether you're an attacker, midfielder, defender, or goalkeeper. That clarity itself is a huge advantage. And let's not ignore this, you're surrounded by players who have the same goal as you. Everyone wants to go pro. That environment pushes you to improve naturally. So, here's the harsh truth. If you're not in an academy, your chances do decrease. I'm not saying it's impossible, there are always exceptions, but realistically, it becomes much harder. On the other hand, if you start early, especially before your mid-teens, you're giving yourself a real shot. Because in football, timing matters, and starting early puts you in the right timeline.
You understand the game well. Football is not just about running behind the ball and putting it into the net. There are so many things happening at the same time that most people don't even notice. Let's say you and your friend are watching a match. A player on the other side of the field suddenly starts running. Your friend might think he's just running for no reason, but you know that he's dragging a defender away to create space for the striker. That right there is game understanding. And that's just the basic level. Real understanding goes much deeper than that. It's about knowing what kind of play will work in a specific situation. It's about predicting how players will react. It's about recognizing patterns and adjusting accordingly. For example, knowing when to slow the game down, when to speed it up, when to switch play, or when to hold possession. These are things that don't show up in stats, but they define top players. If you can read the game like this, you're already ahead of many players, because football at the highest level is as much mental as it is physical. You don't always need to be the fastest or the strongest, but if you're the smartest player on the pitch, you'll always find a way to make an impact. So if you find yourself understanding movements, predicting plays, and thinking 1 or 2 steps ahead during a match, that's a very strong sign. It means you're not just playing football, you're actually understanding it. And that's exactly what professional football demands.
Exceptional ball control. This is probably the most basic, yet most important attribute in football. Because without proper ball control, playing the game at a high level becomes almost impossible. Think about it. Every time you receive the ball, what happens next depends on your first touch. If your control is poor, you lose possession. If your control is good, you create opportunities. That's how important it is. You should be able to control the ball using any part of your body, your feet, your chest, your thighs, even unexpected situations, because in a real match, the ball won't always come to you perfectly. And when you have exceptional ball control, your teammates start trusting you more. They know that even under pressure, you won't lose the ball easily. They know that you can rely on you to keep possession or start an attack. That reliability is what builds strong players. On the other hand, if your control is inconsistent, it puts your entire team under pressure. One bad touch can ruin a good attacking move or even lead to conceding a goal. So there's really no way around this. You have to improve your ball control. Practice it daily. Make it second nature. Because once your control becomes sharp, everything else becomes easier. Passing, dribbling, shooting, decision-making, it all starts with that first touch.
Number 8. You are a little gifted. Now, this point might make some people uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. Becoming a professional footballer is not easy. You train for years, you compete constantly, and even then, nothing is guaranteed. You might perform at your best and still not make it into the starting 11. That's how competitive it is. And this is where being a little gifted comes into play. Do you really think Messi became Messi only because he practiced non-stop? Of course, he worked insanely hard, but he also had something special from the beginning. His dribbling ability, his control, his vision, those things were already ahead of most players. He wasn't just practicing to learn it, he was refining something he already had. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you can't go pro if you're not naturally gifted. That's not true. Hard work can take you very far. But if you do have that natural edge, that slight advantage from the start, it definitely helps, because something others are struggling to master after years of practice might already come naturally to you. Call it unfair, call it luck, call it whatever you want, but it's real. So, if you feel like certain aspects of the game come easier to you than others, don't ignore it. Use it. Build on it. Because in a sport where everyone is working hard, sometimes that small natural advantage can make a big difference, and that's the harsh truth.
So yeah, those were the 8 signs. If this hit you, good. It means you needed to hear it if you want to become a professional footballer. Like and subscribe to False 10, and if you want to watch an even better video, these 2 videos might be a good watch. See you in the next video.